Welcome to the part 4 of the butterflies entangling. I'll fill up the remaining parts inside. First one, I started making this alternate curves which I practiced on the tiles before. Made sure that the curve is more than half on the other side. To fill it up, I made an curved parallel line inside, two actually, all of it. And then just darken the inner band. To make it look more complete, I even extended one more line inside. Did the same thing in all on both the sides of the wings. Wherever these curved attached each other, I just gave these half strokes extending in the inside, and that added depth to my pattern. Did the same thing with the outer edge as well. Continued with this Zentangle pattern throughout and on the other side and on the upper two wings also. In this border, I made these small circles joined to each other and just shaded the empty part around it. Made the same thing on the other side. The upper empty border, I didn't want it to make anything, so I just gave these strokes again where the lower wing touched, so as to give a depth and separate all the four wings. Again, the patterns were becoming a bit more complicated, so I just decided to draw simple lines in one of the elongated region. The bottom one, I made a new Zentangling pattern. To start with, I made these waves joining both the borders, and then another wave in the middle. I made these loops inside, drew some lines to give a heavy look to the background while the waves popped up. The same thing I did in the upper region of the wing. Long waves and then short waves and then loops. And then I made this double wave also, just to add on to my depth of the design. Made another loop inside. It just struck me while I was filling up this that I had to make it more dark, more dense. So when I was satisfied with the designs inside the waves, I just gave these straight lines in the background so that it adds to a depth and a 3D kind of pattern. I repeated the same on the other wing as well. Just darkened the wave so that it pops out even more. Firstly, I thought of doing the same thing below as well, but then as I started drawing the huge waves, I understood that the inner side was very small and the waves already became half its size. So I added another wave inside it and just changed the pattern a bit. Since there was no much space to draw huge designs, I just divided the each wave in two and gave these leaf-like pattern to it. That's it, didn't do much here. And on the background, I just gave one more curve, added a depth by adding few strokes, and on the empty sides I just drew few dots. So that's how I completed my pattern of the wing below. Did the same thing on both the sides, and those three elongated leaf-like structure in the middle, I made those kite patterns which I already practiced in the tile. First made these dots in the center with almost equal distances, made this V, and then just overlapped with the extension on the next V, inverted V, darkened the border, while I was thinking of how to fill in the space between. The best pattern what I found was simple circles. The background I just shaded with again random lines instead of completely dark. And on the inside I made simple circle. And few dots around it. I later on darkened all these circles and repeated the pattern on the other side also. The middle elongated wing, the leaf-like structure of the butterfly, I didn't again wanted to do much, so I just kept on drawing these lines according to its shape of the edges. Did this till I completely reached to a middle single line. And the lower one again I repeated the kite pattern. So basically I filled in all the parts of the butterfly. As I was satisfied with it, I went to the next step, which was using a extra small marker now. As you can see here, the butterfly and the flower looks a bit more merged. There is no layers found, so I had to bring the butterfly a bit above and let the flower look a bit below. So I took this fine it was the extra small marker which I used for adding on shades further. Wherever the flower and the butterfly met, I tried to darken the design. For example, I've just filled up the empty circles. I extended a few strokes. Like what I did here was the strokes was to separate the upper wing and the lower wing, so that the lower wing comes up while it gives a layer to the upper wing which was inside, which was behind the lower ones. As you do this, you will clearly notice a 3D kind of effect, or a depth and a heaviness which is being created wherever there is a difference in the layers. I did the same thing on both the edges of the butterflies. And also darkened the triangle shape, so that that part definitely comes out of the background and looks a bit darker without actually filling up the space. I just did this with a few random strokes coming from within. You can notice the difference. With an extra dark pencil, I added shadows behind the butterfly and the layers so that it pops up even more. Like I made these dark lines behind the the lower two wings, so the shadow is casted on the upper two wings. Again, those of the upper wings, the shadow is casted on the butterfly. So I am drawing these darker lines behind it. The same thing I did with the tentacles as well, by drawing darker pencil shades. I took a toothpick and just smudged these pencil lines so as it looks like a shadow. As I do this, you will notice the difference between the layers which has been created. So I did this shading everywhere, wherever the shadow was required. And if you can see the difference, the butterfly is looking popped up. That was my daughter's hand. She somehow wanted to get in the video. She was really waiting with full patience since long time, but now I guess her patience was over and she wanted to do something. She just shaded the tentacles and helped me a bit. Thank you. Well, to continue with, I gave shadows to the petals of the flower. If you notice, these three petals which I just casted a shadow behind are the front layer ones. The other three were the second layers whose shadow goes even more behind. So you'll understand when I just smudge. So this is the front layer petals that I'm smudging right now, whose shadow is behind the petal. Now comes the layer which is behind. With a small eraser which comes behind the pencil, or take a fine eraser and just erase off all the unnecessary shadings which was done on the butterfly. This will just help it be clear. This happens if you are whenever you are doing this smudging, etc. Well, so this is my finished drawing. I'm satisfied here. I hope you all liked it. Do like, comment and share. Please help me make better videos. Thank you.